All right, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into a story that's part mystery, part history, and completely captivating. We're talking about Say Nothing
Mm.
by Patrick Radden Keefe.
Oh, this book.
Yeah, it throws you right into the heart of the Troubles in Northern Ireland.
I knew about the Troubles in a general sense, but this book, oh man, it just brought it all to life in a way I never thought possible. You know what I
And
mean?
absolutely, it's not just about dates and battles. It's about the real people,
Right.
the people who are caught in this crazy crossfire.
Yeah, exactly. And the way Keefe tells the story is just, it's brilliant. He uses the disappearance of Jean McConville,
Oh, yeah?
a mother of 10, as this entry point to just kind of unravel this whole web of secrets.
It's like a tangled mess. Lies, betrayals.
Oh, yeah. And every time you think you've got it figured out, there's another twist waiting.
You're right. Every time I thought I knew what was going on, boom, something else happened.
It's like peeling back layers of an onion,
It's a
honestly.
page turner, for sure.
Oh, yeah. You start with this simple question, right? What happened to Jean McConville?
Right.
But that one question leads you down these paths, exploring the IRA, British intelligence, all these fascinating people.
And the Price sisters.
Oh, the Price sisters.
Dolours and Marianne.
There's such interesting characters. They start out as these young women so idealistic.
Right. Driven, completely committed to the cause. But it's like the choices they made,
Yeah.
the things they did,
And the consequences
they just ripple outward, changed their lives and everyone around them.
changed everything.
And their story is just one piece. You've got Brendan Hughes,
Oh, yeah, Hughes.
this legendary IRA commander, breaks out of prison, lives a double life right under the noses of the British.
I mean, come on.
It's wild.
So daring.
Makes you wonder who you could even trust, right?
I know.
It seems like everybody's hiding something.
Oh.
Everyone is playing some kind of role, even a regular toy salesman.
Like, what?
Yeah, could be leading this crazy double life.
That's what makes it so unsettling. Like, who can you believe? Exactly. That feeling of paranoia, suspicion, it's just there in every chapter, every page. It makes you question everything you thought you knew.
About the conflict, about right and wrong, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys.
You just don't know. And then you have Gerry Adams.
Yeah, he's a tough one to figure out.
Right. The leader of Sinn Féin. His role in all of this is, well, it's shrouded in mystery.
It really is.
He denies any involvement with the IRA, but...
But there are those doubts.
Oh, yeah. This book raises some serious questions, especially when you hear about his remarks about certain events.
Right.
It's like he's a puzzle you can't solve, mastermind, peacemaker, or something else entirely. Keefe doesn't make it easy,
He really doesn't.
He lays out the evidence and then it's like, all right, you decide.
What do you think?
Yeah, and that's what I loved about Say Nothing. It's not just some dry history lesson. It's an invitation. It makes you think critically, wrestle with these complexities of this
A
conflict.
conflict that is still affecting things in Northern Ireland today.
For sure. And it goes beyond the political stuff, the violence.
Yeah.
It's about the human cost of the Troubles.
The trauma, the pain, the scars.
Exactly. Like Jean McConville's children. They had to put together the truth about their mother's disappearance.
Oh, man. I can't even imagine. It's heartbreaking to be a child and you see your mother taken away and then you spend years not knowing.
Years of wondering, facing whispers, accusations from your own community.
It's just unimaginable. And it makes you think about the consequences of conflict, how these wounds can last for generations.
Absolutely.
This book, Say Nothing, it really stays with you. It makes you think about truth, about justice, about memory, and the power of secrets.
It does.
It's a story that will shock you. It's a story that will move you. And I can't wait to hear what you think as we keep going.
Let's get into it. It's amazing how Keefe ties those individual stories into the bigger picture, The politics, the history. You really feel how the Troubles touched every part of life in Northern Ireland.
It's true. It wasn't just about the fighting, the violence. It was about living in a society where everyone was afraid. Where nobody trusted anyone.
Right. Like even ordinary people got sucked in.
They had to make these impossible choices. Like you were saying before about Brendan Hughes, the toy salesman.
Oh, yeah.
The escaped IRA commander. It makes you realize anyone could be living a double life.
Absolutely. You never know, right? The person you're talking to could have this whole other identity.
Like a secret life.
Exactly. And that's what makes the book so hard to put down. You're always guessing.
Trying to figure out who's telling the truth, who to believe.
And then, boom, Keefe hits you with something else, like the Belfast Project.
Oh, tell me about that.
This project, they wanted to record the history of the Troubles get people's stories, you know.
Sounds like a good idea.
It was, but it turned into this huge legal mess. Who has the right to tell these stories? Who controls the narrative?
That's a big question.
It is. You see how the need for truth, for justice, sometimes bumps up against the need for peace. It's complicated.
It really is. And those Boston College tapes, the interviews with the former fighters,
What about them?
they became this Pandora's box. Secrets people wanted to keep buried.
Wow.
And poor Dolours Price, she did those interviews. She's trying to move on with her life, but her past just keeps coming back.
It's like those troubles, they never really go away.
Exactly. They leave a scar. And Keefe, he doesn't shy away from the hard stuff. He shows how messy it all was. The good guys, the bad guys, it's all blurred.
Right. There's no easy answers. Like the story about Jean McConville helping that British soldier right before she disappeared.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
An act of kindness. But in the middle of the troubles, it's seen as betrayal.
Wow. It shows how war twists everything. Even a good deed can be seen as something bad.
And then there's Steak Knife.
Steak Knife, who's that?
That's the crazy part. It's like something out of a spy movie.
Tell me more.
The British had this top agent, codenamed Steak Knife, deep inside the IRA. It makes you wonder, how much did they know? What were they willing to ignore just to get information?
It's like a whole secret war happening underneath everything else.
Exactly. It makes you realize we probably don't even know half of what really went on.
It's unsettling. And the deeper you go, the more you see how powerful silence can be.
That's a good point. Say nothing. It's not just about secrets people keep. It's about the things they don't say, the stories that never get told.
And those untold stories can be just as harmful as any act of violence.
They keep the fear alive, the distrust. They stop people from understanding each other.
It's like everyone's tiptoeing around, afraid to say the wrong thing.
Afraid to dig up the past.
And that fear, that silence, it makes real healing impossible.
You're right. It's like a roadblock to reconciliation.
It makes you think about how important it is to talk to each other, honestly, openly, even when it's hard.
Absolutely. Say nothing shows us that facing the past, even when it hurts, is the only way to move forward.
I'm starting to see why the book is called Say Nothing. It's about that culture of silence in Northern Ireland.
A culture that let bad things happen, let victims stay silent, let the truth stay hidden.
Like a ghost from the past, always there in the shadows.
Say nothing reminds us that we can't run away from the past. We have to face it, learn from it, and try to build a better future.
Well said. So let's dig into some of these individual stories, see how these themes play out in the lives of the people caught in the middle of this conflict. You know, we've been talking about Dolours Price and her struggles with her past.
Yeah.
But what actually happened to her after those interviews? I mean, with the Belfast Project.
Well, with that legal battle over those Boston College tapes, you know,
Yeah.
really started to get to her. All that pressure, it took a toll.
I bet. I can't imagine having your deepest secrets, stuff you've tried to bury, dragged out into the open like that.
Yeah.
After all those years.
And for Price, it was even worse, you
Yeah.
know? She was already dealing with her own issues, addiction, depression.
So what happened in the end?
Well, she died in 2013. They said it was accidental. Mix of alcohol and prescription drugs.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of people think, the weight of her past, all that unresolved stuff,
Yeah.
it probably played a part.
That's really sad. But it does remind you that the Troubles, man, they really left a mark.
Deep wounds.
Decades later, they're still there.
What about Brendan Hughes?
Oh, yeah, Hughes.
The toy salesman, the escaped prisoner? Did he ever find any peace?
That's a good question. After all that, after he told Maloney everything, the inner workings of the IRA, it's a lot to carry.
What happened to him?
He died in 2008. He'd become really disillusioned with the peace process with Sinn Féin.
Yeah.
He thought they'd lost their way, abandoned the cause,
Betrayal, almost.
Yeah, it was tough for him. He felt betrayed by the people he fought alongside.
So both Hughes and Price, these major figures in the IRA.
They end up disillusioned, carrying the weight of the past.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. And it speaks to how complicated it all was.
Yeah.
And even Gerry Adams,
Yeah.
the one who brought the peace. He couldn't escape it either.
No one could. What about Adams? Did anything come of those accusations against him? I mean, he always denied being in the IRA, but...
Right, there are always those doubts.
They arrested him in 2014, questioned him about Jean McConville's disappearance.
What happened?
They let him go, no charges. But that cloud of suspicion, it never really went away.
So even the guy who brought peace to Northern Ireland,
Right.
He couldn't outrun his past.
That's what Keefe wants us to see, you know?
Yeah.
The past is never really over. It shapes who we are as people, as a society.
And what about Jean McConville's children?
Oh, man.
They saw her taken. They spent years searching for answers. Did they ever get any kind of closure?
Well, in 2003, they found her remains, buried on a beach in County Louth. Bittersweet, you know? They could finally bury their mother. But those questions, who was responsible? What really happened? They lingered.
It's heartbreaking. But it's also inspiring,
How so?
that they never gave up. They never stopped searching for the truth.
That's the human spirit, right?
Absolutely. It's powerful. And Keefe reminds us that justice isn't just about finding a body. It's about holding people accountable, acknowledging the wrongs, making sure it never happens again.
Absolutely. So, as we finish up this deep dive into Say Nothing, what do you want our listeners to take away from all of this? Why should they care about this story, this conflict decades ago, in a place most of them have probably never even been?
Right.
Say Nothing is more than just a story about the Troubles. It's about us. It's about choices we make, the consequences, how the past stays with us. It's about the search for truth, the power of memory, the strength of the human spirit.
That's a good way to put it. It stays with you. This book, it makes you think about the world, about conflict, about our responsibility to seek the truth, to understand each other.
And maybe the most important thing is that we realize the past isn't really over. It's still shaping our present, influencing our future. We have to face it, learn from it, make sure those horrors never happen again.
You said it perfectly. On that note, we urge everyone to check out Say Nothing. It's a powerful, unforgettable journey into the heart of this conflict, and it's something that still resonates today.